I'm really excited. I hadn't met Dr. John Collins before. I love naturopaths to begin with, but I'm an animal lover, and he is the operator of Out to Pasture Animal Sanctuary. So if I start crying, just ignore me, please. It's a tough topic for me. But he has good information for us as we go through our journey for healthier eating, and as HPP has been doing a lot of good stuff. So you guys are all welcome. And I'm not going to go on too much because he can tell you how wonderful he is. So, Dr. John
Well,
Collins.
thank you, Tomiko. And I'll try not to make you cry. Well, thank you all for coming, and thank you for inviting me to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is farm animals, my farm animals. I want to emphasize that I thought I should really talk to you about things that I really know about. We all have information available to us, right, left, and center. We can read all kinds of stuff about everything. And as you know, there's all kinds of opinions, right, left, and center. And so I thought, okay, I'm not going to burden you with a lot of that kind of stuff. I want to talk to you about things that I am expert in, which is things that happen in my own everyday life, things that I have observed, witnessed, and so on. And along the way, I will, of course, have to talk about some informational stuff, but I'm mostly going to talk about my own observations. So I'm from Out to Pasture Animal Sanctuary, which is a nonprofit organization in Estacada, and our little one-liner is we provide a permanent home to animals which have been abused, abandoned, or neglected. And so you'll see, I'll go through and show you a lot of the different kind of animals that we have and tell you where we get them from and how we take care of them and stuff. But I thought it would be good, since it's the end of the day and you're sitting here in comfortable chairs, and maybe you've had a nice dinner and there's a guy in front of the room droning away. It's likely that you may fall asleep. And so when you wake up and you wonder, what did I miss? I'll tell you what you'd miss. I'm going to tell you about who we are, what we have, what we do. And then maybe probably about the second half of it or more, I want to talk about the animals themselves more from their point of view. I want to try to speak for them. And, we've heard that term, the voice of the voiceless, right? I want to speak up for the animals that don't really have a voice in terms of, writing to their legislator or blogging or sending out emails and stuff. But they do communicate. They communicate in their own animal way. And like any language, they have their own language. And so like any language, you have to spend some time to learn it. And so I've been around them for a long time, and I've kind of picked up their language. And so there are things that I've learned from them that I want to share. And that's pretty much what this whole thing is about. And at the end, we'll have time for questions and answers. Tomiko tells me we should wrap up around 8 o'clock or so. So the first thing is I want to just define some of these terms, because I'm going to be talking about farm animals and animal farms, and then farm animal sanctuary. And so farm animals, these are domesticated animals. Humans have been keeping them for thousands of years. We've developed certain traits in them through selective breeding, long before genetic engineering, right? Just selective breeding over thousands of years. We have cows and pigs and different animals which are kind of more docile, less likely to kill us and eat us than maybe the wild form of these animals many thousands of years ago. And so they're domesticated animals, and worth knowing, they can't survive unknown. You can't let them out in the woods. They're not going to make it. Pigs actually can go feral, it's true. And we know about wild Mustangs and horses that got loose, and they're doing quite a lot on their own, generation after generation. But most of these animals cannot make it on their own. They're domesticated. We have caused them, through thousands of years of agriculture, we've caused them to be dependent on us. They rely on us. So in a way, then, we are responsible to them. And so those are farm animals. And then animal farming, that is the commercial enterprise of producing products from the farm animals. So it's an economic phenomenon. It's a commercial phenomenon. And tremendous numbers of people make their living from this on the farm or dealing with farm products, farm machinery. There's an agro business, agroeconomy, agricultural products, and so on. So that is, and the animal part of that, which, about 10 billion animals a year are slaughtered in the United States in the process of animal farming. And so the farm animals that are kept on a farm for production, that is an animal farm. And then finally, what am I? I'm not an animal farm. And people say, they want to come out and see the farm. And I was saying, a farmer would not agree. I'm not a farmer. I don't produce anything for sale. I have over time we've kept, in 20 years, we've kept a few hundred animals at our place. In an animal farm, the animals live for a few months. Pigs will get slaughtered in 6 months. In our place, pigs live for 10 years. And so we don't have a lot of turnover. We don't have a lot, and we're not offering anything for sale. We're not making any, people aren't making a living off of our place. So it's not farm, it's not the farming part of the economy that I'm in. I'm in farm animal sanctuary. We provide a safe home for these animals, which have been normally, objects of commerce. So we provide an alternative for them. Instead of becoming objects of commerce, objects in the marketplace, we give them their life and try to support their life as living beings. So those are some of the definitions. And so I start throwing around farm animal farm. I don't want to be confusing. So this, my wife couldn't be here tonight. This is my wife for before, then and now. So she's the one who started our sanctuary. This first picture, she's 5 years old. And then I met her about 20 years after that, and she didn't have any animals. She grew up, though, with all these farm animals. I didn't know. If you marry somebody, you don't even know them, right? I didn't know. She didn't tell me about this part of her background. I married her. We got a dog and a cat. And then we had some kids. We had kids and a dog and a cat. For a long time, I thought that was all it was. But then the kids, we had to get a house at one point, and we looked at 100 houses. We went out every weekend, driving all over the place with screaming little kids in the car, and nothing was right. Nothing was right. We didn't have much money, but I thought, look, this place might be good. This, but nothing. Finally, we worked our way all the way out to Estacada, about an hour from here. We get this place with a tiny house, 1,000 square feet, not a great house, nice flat pasture, fenced, barns. She goes, this is the place. I go, well, we got this 10 by 10 bedroom. We could put the kids in here. We could make this work. She was going to be happy there. She liked it. Okay, fine. So, then I found out about this stuff. Little by little, animals start coming in. But we held it down pretty well until the kids grew up and moved out. And then she really started filling the place. And so here she is, age 75. She's just really going strong, 20 years now, just filling our place with animals. And so I got dragged into it as the unwitting spouse. But, these animals are charming, and so they gradually drew me in. I'm a gung-ho now. So how we get them? They come from far and wide. We get, this one was from the feed store. Somebody went, the farm store where you buy hay and grain for your animals and stuff. And somebody had dropped off an animal there, said, please find a home for this animal. We can't keep it anymore. We lost our job, stuff like that. So we have all these animals that get abandoned or need to be, quote, rehomed because of a hardship. It could be a death, illness, divorce, foreclosure, bankruptcy. People, you got to cut. You've got to cut. And so what are you going to cut? You're not going to throw your kids out. Let's better throw the animals out. And so a lot of animals get displaced because of hardship. We also have laboratory animals. These lovely doves were survivors of one one of our local colleges, we agreed not to identify them, where the students did experiments which killed a number of these doves due to the nature of the experiment, but some survived, and they thought rather than kill these off, they would try to find a home for them. And so they wouldn't tell us what the experiments were, but we took in a number of these doves, and they survived their ordeals in the lab, and now they thrive. These geese are a nuisance. We got them through a nuisance complaint. Geese are very loud. By the way, I wanted to ask you, I would assume everybody here has lived with cats or dogs. How many of you here have been in horsemanship, riding horses? All right, so you know horses. How about cattle, cows? Okay. And other big animals like big hogs? You had not so much, oh, okay. And well, llamas are pretty big too. They're not so common. And then what about the smaller farm animals, goats and sheep? How many of you had? Okay. You're a star. You've seen them all. And then, of course, there's the birds, the chickens, and so on. A lot of people have had the backyard chickens and ducks and geese. And so you might know these things are really loud. And if you try to keep them in the city, their complaints will be made. Sheriff will visit. You'll be given an ultimatum, get them out. These were adopted by somebody who was doing time at the Clackamas County halfway house for people who get driving under the influence. You can go to jail for that. Or if you haven't been much of a repeat offender, they'll give the opportunity to go to a halfway house and work on your addictions. And so these animals were living there, but the guy graduated, left them behind. And so we adopted them. That was just sort of a, inconvenience sort of thing. Now, these are potbelly pigs. They were all the craze. They came from Vietnam maybe 30 years ago. A lot of people were raising those. We had a friend who raised them, and she said she would, they'd set the price. As a car came up the driveway, they'd see, what kind of car is that, a Mercedes? So they'd jack up the price depending on how much what kind of car you were driving. But this was like 30 years ago, she'd get $1,500, $2,000 for one of these. Now you can't give them away. And by the way, if these were real pigs up here, two things worth noting. They'd be checking you out. This is how we got this picture. They were checking us out. They could have looked, They don't look. They check you out with their nose. Their nose is way more perceptive than their eyes. And if they were real pigs here, they would know if one person in here had maybe somebody who needs to keep your blood sugar. If somebody had a banana in their purse, they would know. If one person had garlic for supper, they would know. They have tremendous sense of smell, which is a point that comes up later when we talk about how their quality of life and how they're sensitive. But this is a group that came from, we took in 20 pigs from a backyard in Portland. The guy thought he'd get rich by breeding pigs and selling them. He couldn't sell any of them. We could have told him that. We get pigs offered to us constantly. But these are a particularly small breed. This little one on the left, not yet fully grown, but you put that under your arm like a football. The others, you could pick them up if you could hold them tight enough. They're going to squirm. But they're small. They're small pigs. And the sheriff came after him, and neighbors were complaining, and it took us a long time. This is another phenomenon, is animal hoarding, which is a very complicated thing. Is these people who really love their animals, but the judgment gets disturbed, a distortion of judgment, where they have tremendous feeling. They have tremendous feeling for the animal, but they don't plan and execute the proper organization, care, and so on. And so things just get out of control, and animals start dying, and chaos and mayhem. And yet the person really loves the animals. So this was that guy. He didn't want to give them up. Finally, with a lot of negotiating, my wife does all this kind of correspondence with the outer world. we got them and got them all spayed and neutered and so on. And we've got 10 of them still. We found homes for 10 of them. We get big pigs too. Dwayne here on the right, he was a stud. He had the pig's dream. He had a whole harem of pigs he was supposed to breed, but he couldn't do it. He had congenital hip problems. He couldn't get up on the back of the female and do what he was supposed to do. So he got fired, and he was put on Craigslist, take this pig for slaughter or whatever, and somebody saw that. And we get a lot of animals from people like that who think, oh, I don't want the animal to die. And so we took him in, and he's been a good fellow around our place. Very, very easy to get along with, and yet the minute he arrived, he was in charge. He was the alpha. He established peace and harmony around the place. This other one, Lucy, she was kept in farrowing, they call it. They're breeding. She was a breeding pig. She is the great mother of probably, they give 6 to 10 pigs per litter. She's probably given birth to, 50, 100 pigs. Before she was retired, they get a little older, they can live 10, 12 years, but after 3, 4 years, maybe they just get rid of them, kill them, or sell them. But somebody got a hold of this pig, and it was up for sale, but somebody, I forget how they did it, but they got this pig adopted and brought her to us, and she lived like this. This was her life. Now, what they do is, this is where your pork and bacon and stuff comes from. You get the little piglets, and you put them in these stalls, and you feed them, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, but the stalls don't get bigger, just the pigs get bigger. And so around the time they're getting really in each other's way, which is about 6 months, then you kill them and eat them. But if you don't do that, and if you take care of them, they live 10 years. And so that's the reality in, what did I call it? Animal farming. That's the reality of farm animals in animal farming. That's what's normal. That's just normal commerce. But we don't know about it because these are off, and you can see that's like a big warehouse. And so these animals, they don't get outside unless they're getting on the truck to go to the slaughterhouse. And the mothers, once they get pregnant, they put them in these, are called farrowing crates. And they're separated like that last 5 weeks of pregnancy. So Lucy spent a lot of time like that. But when she came to our place, she had no knowledge. She wasn't educated in the ways of the outdoors. She immediately ran around in the pasture. She found a mud hole and jumped in, which we were told she'd never even seen a mud hole before. So it's like, I've heard people say, oh, these farm animals, they don't know. They're raised to live inside in a barn, and they don't know what it means. They don't know what they're missing. Well, maybe they don't. But when they get a look at what they've been missing, they want it. And so llamas. Now, this makes me wonder about, have we been contacted by aliens from other planets? This is a llama from a faraway land of Peru, I guess. Donkeys. Sergio here was a seeing eye donkey for an old blind horse. He used to lead her around when she'd get disoriented. But she died, and he moped and moped and moped. And so our neighbor had this little Valentina, this little donkey, and he had recently had so many back surgeries, he said he couldn't pick up a paper clip, couldn't take care of her. So we brought Valentina in to keep company with Sergio, and it has been a great love affair. It's platonic, of course, they're fixed. But Sergio checked her out a little bit, bit her. She swung around, kicked him in the chest, and it's been harmony ever since. This is Norman. He got, this was an eviction. The banker called us to this place. They said, look, we got this property now. We took over, they couldn't make the payments. The bank takes over. We want the property if we don't want that livestock. The guy left the animals behind. So we had to get our tools out and get him out of there. The guy, before he left, really put him in with screws and nails and everything so he wouldn't escape. And he knew the banker was coming back in a day or two. So he didn't leave the animal to die. He knew something would happen. But so we took Norman in, and then this is the notorious popcorn peacock. At the Oregon Zoo, they had peacocks wandering around on the grounds. mingling with the visitors for a long time. But there was one day, there was a spat between a little boy with popcorn and a peacock. A chubby little hand was bitten. I think lawyers got involved. So anyway, the peacocks were banished from the zoo. And so they went out searching, and somebody knew us, told the zoo guy, and so he brought us the peacocks, and they flew all over the neighborhood. I got to know my neighbors. People come to my gate and say, "Do you own a peacock? It's on my roof." They're beautiful, fantastic, spectacular birds. These are lab rabbits. You see that beautiful pink eye? You can put the rabbit's head in a little vise and put medicine in the eye and see if it damages the eye or not. You can take the ears and put different kind of visual devices so you can check blood flow, and you can check drugs and how they affect blood flow, and you can shave the back and put different chemicals on the skin to see if it causes cancer and stuff. So these poor bunnies, they get subjected to all that. These are some tough ones that survived all that. And so they usually get rid of them, euthanize. They kill them when they're done with the experiments. But there's some animal rights organizations that will go and negotiate with the labs and take in some of these animals. And so we got them that way. And then there's backyard hens. I think let's see how I'm doing for time. I'm about 18 minutes into this. Okay, so I'm about halfway through. I think I better move along. So anyway, yeah, backyard chickens. People like them. And oddly, people call us up and they say, "I need you to find a new home for my hens. I can't afford to keep them." I go, "Well, bag of chicken feed, lasts about 3 months. It costs $15. What's going on?" They go, "Well, they're not laying eggs anymore. I can't afford to waste money if they're not laying eggs." And I think, gosh, chickens are so delightful to have. Those of you who don't know how to type, you've been accused of hunting and pecking, right? That's what they do. They go around all day. They go, they scratch and peck. And it's just wonderful to watch them going around in their beautiful colors, and it makes these little whoop, whoop, whoop sounds. They're just delightful pets, animals to have as pets. And so people like chickens and hens, and we hear about these horrible cages that they're kept in. And so laws have been passed that they, and I don't know if it's actually required yet, but you can make more if you sell the eggs as cage-free. So there's a cage-free hen house. You don't see the cages have been removed. But it's still not a good life compared to with that, that's really not a good life. But at least it's moving in the right direction. It's like going from lockdown prison to being able to go out and walk around in the prison yard a little bit. It's better. But still, I bring that up because it's kind of a sales thing about saying cage-free. Most of them are not very cage-free. They're still stuck in the building. So yeah, this was from one of these operations, big hen house like you just saw there. The guy, for some reason, stopped feeding them. I think he went bankrupt or something. He tried to sell them. He had ads out, but he didn't get enough buyers, and so he just stopped feeding them. They were all really skinny. They started eating each other's feathers. And so we got a bunch of these on an adoption. The group took in about 200 of them, and we found homes for most, although we've kept about 10 of them. And they turned out very nice. You feed them up and let them walk around outside. They're lovely red hens. So then once we get them and, they've got food, water, shelter, safety from predators, that's basic. Then they need things. And so here we provide certain services. So this guy had bad dandruff. I mean, a little dandruff is okay, but this guy was terrible. And so we got Head and Shoulders. So we do shampoo, styling, the hair gets too long, and so you have to cut it off in the summer or they suffer from the heat. That's a llama. This guy's a specialist. He's a genius at this. He can do this whole thing in like 7 minutes without nicking the skin at all. We do manicures. The hoofs overgrow on the soft ground here in Oregon especially in the wet season, and so we have to trim them from time to time. So we do manicure, pedicure. That's a pig, and pigs likewise. They have hooves that grow out, and if they're not walking on concrete or stone, you see the stones back there. We've put out a lot of those now to help grind down their hooves. Dental. Horses need dental care once a year, at worst two a year, every 2 years, because their teeth overgrow in a certain way and it interferes with their nutrition. So horses need dental care. And medical, this is a pig that was paralyzed from a selenium deficiency. You know, for us, they say, what, a human should eat, if we eat 1 Brazil nut a day, we get enough selenium. But the soil around here is deficient in selenium, and so animals can get a muscle disease from lack of selenium. We thought he had spinal tumor or something. Old Dr. Holacek here, who's seen it all, he said, oh yeah, that's white muscle disease. Give him selenium. The pig was up walking fine within a couple of weeks. It was a cure by a simple mineral. This is a duck with a lame wing getting first aid care and even surgery. This goat went to OSU a few times for surgery down at Corvallis. So now the second half, or the rest of what I want to talk about, is this matter here. What it says on this slide is the value of a life is not measured in its utility to others. So remember I said farm products, right? Utility. So you can get leather, you can get meat, you can get eggs, milk, fur, wool. Okay, that's utility. These are products that we use, right? So, but the value of a life is measured not in its utility to others, but in the immense value to the being whose only life it is. So this animal gets one life to live. And so he has a tremendous sense of wanting to live. And, they're not philosophers. I don't think they know what is life, what is death, what is a meaning of life. They have more primal, basic tendencies. And so that's what I want to talk about now, is that I think it's a gross mistake to look at these farm animals as, units of agricultural productivity, right? Yeah, we do that. I mean, sure, you have to do that from a business sense. You count how many head of cattle and how many pounds of this and that. Okay, but that is really missing a lot of what's going on here. And I think it's to our detriment, certainly to their detriment. So what do they want? That's what I've been trying to understand for a long time. This is my favorite picture. This is Ricky. Beth thinks him. We call him Ricky Ricardo. He's a very lively little fellow. That's a great picture. But what do they want? If we give them an opportunity, you can take those pigs that you saw, they get to sleep on concrete. They don't get to choose. They get crowded in that pen with their pen mates. They don't get to choose. Nobody asks them what they want. But what if you give them choices? What would they choose? Which way would they go? That's how I've learned to understand their language. And a simple thing, like I asked that question before, who's had pets? We understand a lot about animal, you call it psychology or quality of life or existential experience of the animal because of our pets. We live with them. We share in their joys and sorrows and their pains and so on, and their pleasures. And it's complex. Every pet we've ever had is a little different from the other one. We know that. So in this picture, can you see the pet? Or how many pets are there? How many animals are here which could be a pet? As much of a pet as a dog. Every one of them. Every one of them. You can have a pet goat. You can have a pet pig, that black thing there. You can have a pet sheep, way back there, the white one. And way back, I don't know if we can see them, this pet llama. They're all not that different from our dogs and our cats. I mean, sure, cats and dogs are very different. And yet they both have a human to pet intimate relationship. That same can happen with any of these animals. and they want it. So they have a sense of comfort and pleasure. Here comes the sun, little darling. It's been a long and lonely winter. This is. The sun came out in March or something, and I think that's Luke, right? He was just soaking it in. Pleasure. That's a pleasure. They're not just food machines, right? Now, you take a pig, and in the barn, you have a stall. You just cleaned it out. It's got a nice, smooth, totally clean concrete floor. And then a couple of stalls down, you've got this 12 inches of straw and a heat lamp. Now, you tell the pig, go ahead. Take your pick. Which do you prefer? I don't know what you want. You tell me what you want. What do you think? It becomes clear pretty quickly that they prefer comfort, pleasure over pain and displeasure. They have their standards, Now, this is not a nerve gas accident or anything. This is a little. The ground is dry, so it's a little later. It's probably around this time of year that this was taken. I couldn't find a date on the picture, but the ground is, it's not mud. And could you guess which direction the sun is coming from? And they're just loving it. This is a good day for the pigs. Now, that's where they seek warmth. But what about during the heat wave in the summer? How many pigs can you see in this picture? Where's Waldo? But you could see in the foreground, there's a pig hiding. When the pigs are hidden, that's the telltale sign, is that round disc with the two holes in it. But like I said earlier, Lucy just instinctively just jumped in there. And they go in there every day during the hot days of summer. Even in days that we would think are way too cool to go to the beach, they're in there rolling around in the mud. It protects their skin from sunburn, flies, and it helps to cool them off. You've heard some people say, oh, I'm sweating like a pig. Pigs don't sweat. They have to seek external cooling. Remember the Statue of Liberty? What is it? Yearning to breathe free, it says on the Statue of Liberty. But he had a nice pen in there, and he had room to roam, and his pals were in there. But he wanted to see the world. So I had to go put another board in there because he was going where he ought to go. But that's the thing. They want, like I said, they don't want to be in pain, certainly want to live. They want to get their physical needs met, but they also want to experience things, They want to check it out. They want to explore. They want to see the world. This little guy, he was on a 7-acre farm where they had a lot of animals. It was actually an animal sanctuary. A lady had taken in a lot of abandoned animals. She had several horses, big hogs, llamas, a lot of geese, lambs, sheep, and goats. And a coalition of animal sanctuaries adopted all these animals and found homes for them over a course of a couple of months. Except this guy was the lone survivor. Nobody could catch him. We worked up a sweat in the middle of winter many days trying to catch this guy. He was clever and shrewd. So finally we got one of those rolls of that orange plastic lattice that they put around construction sites. We got a team of volunteers and we went out there. We're going to catch him. But still, he outsmarted us again and again. I think what our key to success there was we were walking and he was running. And eventually, he got tired out before we did. And he finally just went into a corner and we got him. But it took hours. Why? He wanted to be free. He wanted to have his freedom. He didn't want anybody messing with him. He had his own ideas. And then if they have the freedom to move, then they want to do stuff. They don't want to just go necessarily. Sure, they do that. Horses, you see horses sometimes just running. You can see their tail, their mane streaming in the wind. They're just running and running, not going anywhere. They're just running. But they also want to do stuff. So this guy, we might enjoy those crab apples with a 5-pound bag of sugar, But goats, they like bitter and sour things. They just eat them right up. This is a adventurous, enterprising group of goats. You can see, it looks like the Bremen musicians, right? We got 1, 2, 3 goats here. They're on different pieces of furniture. This is a home office. You can see the metal desk, filing cabinets, all kinds of things in here. The guy who owned this place and kept the goats, I don't know why, he murdered his neighbor. And he didn't get away with it. So the police hauled him off. He was convicted and taken off to prison. And the police were successful in making the arrest, but that was their job. They're gone. They never came back. So the goats were left there. This is 1 year later. So goats, curious, enterprising, and clever as they are, they found their way into the house and they rearranged the furniture to suit themselves. And so that's real typical. That's typical goat behavior. They're very enterprising and curious. So then, the cat. These two never knew each other before they came to our place, but they became such pals. And this gang, well, they shared the womb at one time. It's a gang of siblings, but they don't want to be separated. They have relationships. That's my next topic here, is relationships. Animals bond to each other. I mean, sure, you stick them in a pen, force them in there together, they're going to make friends and enemies. But if they have a lot of room and they have choice, they will choose often to be with their family units or certain friends. Like goats will have certain head-butting buddies that like to butt heads. And so 2 goats will pair up and they'll be head-butting pals. And they'll smash their heads together for fun a lot. Kind of like junior high school boys. These 2 came to us from, I forget where it was. My wife lines up these adoptions, and I just work on when they get there. By the way, you can see here, a lot of these photos a lot of our best photos are made by Beth Lily Redwood here. I want to thank you, Beth. Beth really volunteers a lot of time to photograph around the sanctuaries. And so to help the sanctuaries to get their word out, to be known, and to showcase the beautiful animals that we have. This is a family unit enjoying, it's pretty much the high life for a pig. And this too, kind of insufferable. This is Barbie and Skipper. They came to us over 10 years ago. They were scheduled for slaughter. This lady who was driving back and forth to Lewis and Clark, she'd go by every day, she'd see them playing around in the field, and she found out that, they're going to go to get slaughtered soon. So she tried to negotiate with the farmer to spare them all, but he would only spare 2 of them. And so they came to our place, and they've been kind of, sure, they go out in the pasture, and they'll, like siblings, they'll go off on their own a little bit, but they're always sisters. You can tell they're sisters, and they stick by each other. Sadly, one of them died. Skipper died in the last year. But Barbie went through a period of withdrawal, and then she has more, reconnected with those other 2 pigs that I showed you earlier. Goats. And so this I got out of a website, the Farm Wife at Midlife. It's a woman who's been keeping cattle all her life, as in all her adult life, and she and her husband run a cattle farm. And she started a website, and she's sharing her thoughts and her feelings. Edgar, that's one of her cattle, let out a long moan as Big Red, one of the other cattle who was sent off to slaughter. As Big Red went up the road in the cattle trailer, we've heard cows mourn their dead on our farm in long, low, pitiful wails. And in dairy farms also, this is like cattle, adult, grown cattle. They're young. They're usually young, year and a half. That's when they slaughter cows. They could live to be 10, but they get slaughtered for beef when they're about a year and a half. In the dairy industry, to have milk, you have to have pregnancy. And so the little calf grows fast and wants to drink a lot of milk. If you want to make any profit on selling milk, you better get that calf out of there. So within 1 to 5 days, they take the calf away, and they feed the calf on other milk products that are probably not suitable to sell to humans. But the calf can grow on that stuff. But the mother cow, she runs around looking for the calf, and they moan and they wail. People say, oh, it's terrible, the moaning and the wailing that goes on. And somebody might tell you, oh, no, my cow didn't do that. Okay, not all do, but an awful lot of them really show that behavior. And then the other thing is they play. These animals will exert themselves in non-productive ways. They will go out of their way to do stuff which doesn't do them any material good, you could say. They're not getting food. They're not escaping from predators. They're just playing. Goats are notorious for that. And of course, the little ones, the young of any species is very playful and romping. But these adult goats, they do this. They'll jump and climb on stuff and smack heads, and they just think it's a gas. This picture is of something that it took me a while to recognize what's going on. These are doves. They live in our barn, and we feed them. They got all the feed they could ever want. And on this day, you can see all the snow, ice. There's no feed available out there. They can't go out. They're not out looking for food. There's no predators chasing them. They're not escaping. They always come home. What are they doing? They're flying. They fly around and around our property in circles, run and around. And they come and land on that wire. They sit there and they murmur to each other. And then they go fly somewhere. I think they like to do it. I think they do it because it feels good. You could say, oh, it's an instinct. They're birds. They need to, keep their wings limber. Okay, fine. But they do it because they want to. And so it's kind of like the pleasure of flight, I think. Sometimes I even think they make deals. This is what we call the cordless heating pad. And so what's the deal here? If you let me warm myself on your back, I will warm a tiny, tiny spot of your back. Not a great deal for the pig, but it is kind of like a transaction. Here's another transaction. We'll sit for snacks. Diane, she's the lady I was telling you about, the college student. She trained these pigs to sit, and they will sit on command, provided you give them a treat. They're not fools. And then this. It took me a while to recognize that this was going on, because we go out there, we work, we take care of the animals, and there's needs, there's so many needs we have to meet, and you have a to-do list and stuff. We're trying to get the work done, and people come out sometimes and help us, and we're getting the work done. And it took me a while to realize that it's not just animals that are benefiting. This is a two-way street. I was trained in this idea of selfless service, true service. You don't try to get anything in return. You just do it for the good of the other. But you can't separate that here. You can't do this work without getting some benefit, because we humans, we like to do good things. We like to feel that we've accomplished something. We like to feel that we've done something of benefit to others. So when you take care of animals, like with your pets, you get a sense of gratification that, hey, I've done the right thing here. And so this is a voluntary interaction here. We did not coerce him to pet those animals. We did not coerce the animals to go and be petted. This was a spontaneous attraction, mutual benefit. So this is again from the farm life. This is one of her friends who wrote in a comment on her website. When I look in their eyes, something connects. And she was lamenting that she had to, slaughter her animals. She said, "Oh, it's so terrible. I struggle with this." That's what she was commenting on. We call this picture Beauty and the Beast. This was a girl, high school girl, who was doing some project, some volunteer work, and she would just come out and she just loved this pig, and she would hang out and she would brush it, and she was delighted. The pig, I think, enjoyed it also. So this is a mutual benefit when we when we raise farm animals in a way that is respectful of their nature rather than just in a way that utilizes them. Kids, of course, kids and animals, that's a no-brainer. These are Girl Scouts. And then here's grown-ups. And this was a spontaneous event. Some people were out visiting, and they went out in the back area around those old cherry trees, and they started petting the pig, and she said, "Oh, let me lay down so you can get at my belly." And so you can see, I can think we say, "Oh, yeah, the pig's enjoying that, must be." But look at the faces on the people. They're enjoying themselves being kind to animals. So it's not just a complete expense to us to be good to animals. We actually benefit from it a great deal. Oh, yeah. I was going to say back here, this picture. Oh, I've showed you so many pictures of women and children. So my question, is this a girl thing? Being nice to animals. I had one lady say, "Oh, I'm very interested in." This is a lady who had high blood pressure and stuff. During my doctoring, I was telling her you should eat plant foods, and she said, "Oh, I'm happy to do that, but I have to cook meat for my husband. He's a man. Men they need meat for their muscles. Men need meat." So that was her belief. That was his belief. That's not my belief. As a doctor, that's not my belief. Here's your, you can go online. There's a lot of stuff on this. No Meat Athlete. There's one website, all kinds of stuff. Or what do they call it? Vegan bodybuilders. There's another one. There's a lot on that. There's a lot of people doing this, building muscle on plant protein. So it's a myth that that men need their meat. It's just a food preference. And then, like I said earlier, just helping the animals. We have people come out. I have one guy, he's a doctor friend, and he says, "Put me to work. I want to work up a sweat, and I want to do something that's good for the animals." So both. He wants to help the animals, and he wants to get some exercise and feel like he really did something, So there's even that. Even if you're not even loving on the animals, just doing something that's good work, people like that. So it's time to wrap up here. So, this is Momo. Momo was the public enemy number one in this one family. He was knocking everybody down. Everybody's afraid of him. His problem was he had too many testicles. He had two for a backyard goat. He had 2 testicles, and so once they were removed. Speaking of men, right? Once they were removed and his testosterone level went down, he really calmed down. And so here he is, the terrifying Momo. He's as sweet as could be. So I want to wrap up. So what did I say? I showed you a lot of pictures, a lot of details, a lot of little stories. But in general, what I'm trying to get across is that I hope, if you already knew all this stuff, hopefully I've reminded you of some things that are worth knowing, worth remembering. If you didn't know this stuff, hopefully you see that there's some value, it's worthwhile. And what would be the worthwhile of it? It would be especially if it could influence you in how you vote. How you vote with your dollars. You have your food dollars, you have your investment dollars, and who knows, there might be something in the legislature now and then where we can vote on the animal agriculture bill or something. But especially we vote every day with our food dollars, and we create incentives. If the economic idea, you put money out there and say, if you do something, you can have this money, people are going to do that something, right? And so we vote for factory farming with our dollars, with the products that we buy, when we go for the cheapest, when we get those companies competing to make more and more and more at a lower cost. We're saying we want the products, to hell with the animals, to hell with their experience, just give me the products. So I'm hoping that this kind of what we're thinking about here will help us all to vote with a sense of respect and care for the animals. And I think I'm done. So thank you.
we're going to have a little question and answer, and so we'll have people with microphones if you need. Please say your name, because you know the blind lady can never tell who you are.
Okay. You'll, okay, go ahead.
If somebody was interested in volunteering, how would they get in touch with you?
You can go to our website. Oh, I forgot to put them out. I've got some little cards here that show our website. There's some postcard type cards, although you can't write on them, and some little restaurant cards that say, I ate here because you have vegan options. And so I'll put these in the back, and you can see the website, and you could contact us through the website. And frankly, we have the kind of work requires a certain amount of training and coordination. And so we have a team that is pretty much regulars. And so from time to time, somebody leaves and we bring in somebody else, but we don't really bring in a lot of volunteers. Some of the other sanctuaries do that, though. And so I would encourage you to look at Farm Animal Sanctuary near me, or that kind of thing. And you'll see, I think, Wildwood Sanctuary out in, where do you call that place? Newburgh, and Green Acres Sanctuary in Silverton. I think they have more open kind of volunteer days. But certainly contact us, and we'll put your name down, and there may be openings from time to time.
So John, you have open days though too, don't you?
Oh, that's right. Yes, we have a Northwest Veg event happening there. Or is it Northwest Veg? It's affiliated. Kathy Berlot with, gosh, what is that called? Veg Challenge, PDX Veg Challenge. Yeah, she, every summer, she organizes as a series of classes, kind of like what you've been having here. And at a certain point, she invites people to come to one or two animal sanctuaries. And so we publicize that. And so that's a kind of an open day where people can come and visit and see the animals and get some snacks. And we'll sometimes have a little presentation also.
How is the sanctuary supported?
It's a nonprofit, and so we don't pay any salaries. So all the human labor is volunteer, unless we have to hire an electrician or something, or the veterinarians. But we get quite a variety. My wife's sister just sold a house and gave us some money. We have people that say they're going to put a birthday fundraiser on Facebook. They say, all you friends of mine out there, donate to Out to Pasture Sanctuary. There'll be a vegetarian restaurant that will say, come today and we're going to give 10% of our proceeds to Out to Pasture Sanctuary. There's quite a range. We have a Patreon, so we have some subscribers that give $5, $10, $20 a month just on subscription kind of thing like that. We do a little bit of tabling, at some events, and we'll sell some sweatshirts and stuff. But I think, frankly, the sale of the sweatshirts kind of pays the cost of making the sweatshirts. That's not that's not a big item. We're past the stage of bake sales and yard sales, which is what we did for a while. We used to do really grueling yard sales. We'd make a few $1,000 on a long, massive yard sale. But now I think we have a lot of spontaneous donors because we've been doing it for 20 years. We do a little bit of grants also, not a whole lot, but there's a foundation. There's a famous family in Portland, Schnitzer. The Schnitzer Foundation has a deal with the schools where they ask the high school kids to do fundraising and raise some money, and Schnitzer will match whatever they raise, and then the kids get to choose what charities they want to give the money to. And so we've applied there 2 years now, and we've gotten donations, a few $1,000s from the kids, and we go and they interview us, and so they get interviewing skills. They do have fundraising skills. It's an educational thing for them, and we make decent donations from that. It's been very good. So there's a lot of different things like that. I think there's quite a wide variety of ways we get our money. But if you want to donate, I definitely encourage that. I appreciate it. And you can pick up that one of those little cards there, and you can see how to contact us. Other questions? Yes.
Tell us, tell us a little bit about your history as vegans.
Well, for myself, I met a vegetarian. First time I ever went on an airplane when I was in college, I sat next to a guy who was eating a grapefruit and wouldn't take any of the food. And he was a vegetarian. I'd never met one. And so he was telling me how being a vegetarian, it made him feel better. And he felt more energetic. And so I thought that was interesting. And in high school, we read Walden, Henry David Thoreau. And he talked about how he didn't want to hurt the animals, and so he planted some extra rows of beans so that the animals could eat some of his crops. And then in college, I read the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, and he was a vegetarian for a while. So these ideas were sort of rattling around in my head. And one day in June, I came home from college and I went fishing, and it all just sort of landed together in my mind. I started thinking about what's going on at the other end of this fishing line. I got a hook, and there's a fish with his big lips that he uses to explore the world, a lot of sensory nerves and so on. And I'm going to put that hook in there, or maybe he'll swallow the hook and it'll get down. And I started thinking about this. God, I don't want to do that. And so I'm not going to fish anymore. And so I thought, I'm not going to fish anymore. And then I thought, well, gosh, I'd read The Jungle by, I've been influenced by books. I've been influenced by books. Who's that guy? Upton Sinclair. When I was in high school, I read The Jungle, and it's about the horrible working conditions in the slaughterhouses in Chicago at that time. And so then I thought, well, gosh, if I'm not willing to kill them myself, I don't want to, even when I was 20 years old, I still had some sense about economic incentive. I said, I don't want to create a financial pressure, a financial pull to draw people into that kind of horrible life of working in a slaughterhouse. I don't want to support the slaughterhouses. So what am I going to do? I guess I realized I better be true to my logic here. I just better not eat any meat. If I'm not willing to kill it myself, and I'm not willing to hire somebody else to kill it for me, I guess I'm stuck. I better just be a vegetarian like Benjamin and these other people that I'd heard of. I knew it was possible. So that summer I lived on yogurt, brownies. I was living in Vermont, right? Yogurt, brownies, and Vermont cheddar cheese, and rye bread. I think that's all I ate. Oh, apples. We had Macintosh apples up there, and apples. That was it. That was all I didn't know nothing. I was not interested in cooking as a kid. And so over time then, I got a girlfriend finally who worked in a restaurant. She knew how to cook. And so she was very helpful. And so that started for me, age 20. And then when I was 50, so all that time I was eating dairy products. I was a yoga vegetarian. The yoga diet includes milk, but not eggs. So I was interested in yoga and stuff. And then when I turned 50, my darling little 15-year-old daughter stuck a leaflet on the refrigerator. Where does milk come from? And it had all the gory details about what happens to all the male. I mentioned how they take the calf away. Well, if this happens to be a male calf, not a good story. They go locked up in prison in veal crates and stuff, or they go right into beef production. And then milk and the thing about taking the babies away from the mother. It was a sad tale that here I was, following this yoga diet, and there was a lot of cruelty and suffering related to that. And so I thought, okay, and she was becoming vegan. She was 15. And so I thought, oh, I'll try it. My darling daughter, I'll try it for you, but if it's not good for me, I'm going to go back after a month. And so I had a bowl of mozzarella. I used to really like this salty mozzarella cheese, and I put it in the fridge, and every day I'd take a slice off it, on my new vegan diet. I'm going to have a little mozzarella. And I found that thing in there a few months later, all dried up and cracked. I forgot about it. I stopped. I never went back. it was not bad for me. It was good for me. I stopped getting sinus infections. I had arthritis at age 50. My arthritis, it's still, you know, I got it, but it's a lot less than it was. And so I noticed, wow, this is good for me. So I've kept ever since. My wife, likewise, she, you know, we married in our 20s, and so we were on this same diet. And so she and I both went on the vegan diet when my daughter made her offer we couldn't refuse. Well, you know how your kids can harass you, right? What was that in Hansel and Gretel? The saying was the father didn't want to do it, but the wife allowed him no peace until he agreed, right? So my daughter allowed us no peace until we would at least try the vegan diet. So I guess I answered that question. But it's been good for us. It really has.
Thank you very much. And you didn't make me cry, but I do
Well, good.
think about all this stuff. But thank you so much for this. This is exactly how we needed to end. We started with how to make our plate and eat healthily, and now we get to think about what happens to those animals
Yes.
before we
And
eat
I apologize if I dragged painful or unpleasant things in front of you.
I expected more.
Yeah,
Didn't you? I expected.
frankly, I haven't been at those places. I've learned about them the way you have, from reading and stuff. What I know is my own animals, but I know that stuff goes on, and my animals come from those places or could have gone to those places, so it's part of it. But great. So, not too much of that. Great.
It was comfortable, right? Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You all.